Lance.
I'm Sam.
And we are Love to Hate.
And today we're looking at Stop the Train by Escape Plan board games.
In Stop the Train, players are going to be working together to stop the train before it crashes. Unless you're the saboteur, because then you want the train to crash. Let's take a look at it on the table. All right, so I have Stop the Train, a board game adventure on the table here. And as you'll see, this is a pretty elaborate setup to a game here. We've got an actual train track on the table with a train and a Paris train station. Pretty cool, isn't it? Not only that, but you've also got this board over here that's got a speedometer to it, in which you are going to keep track of how fast the train is moving. Now in this game, it's social deduction, and you are primarily going to have good guys and one or maybe two bad guys. And no one's going to know who is who. So you're not quite sure who's on your team and who's not, but the good guys generally want to stop the train, along with some kind of secondary mission that they're trying to accomplish. And the bad guys are trying to crash the train into Paris over there. Now, everybody's going to have a character card dealt to them, and there's a whole bunch of different characters in this game. Some are a lot easier to win with than others, but you are always going to make sure that there is a saboteur in the game, who is the bad guy trying to crash the train into Paris. And after everybody takes a look at who they are, then the game begins. A round works in that whoever is the current player is going to draw 3 of these effect cards off the top of the deck. Now, majority of these cards are going to have you either speed up the train or slow down the train a certain number of miles or kilometers per hour, excuse me. And how this works is the current player is going to pick one to discard and pass 2 to the player on their left. So if I got this hand here, I would probably want to discard one of the accelerate cards to give that player a choice between slowing down the train or speeding the train up, which would give me a lot of information based on who they might be in the game. So I will pick one to discard, and I play it face down right here, and I hand them the other 2 cards. They'll look at them, and then they will choose one to discard and one to play. So if I'm a good guy and I don't care about getting the train going fast, I'll discard that one that speeds up the train, and I will play hard brake, which as you can see reduces the speed to 30 kilometers per hour. Now you can see on this speedometer here that it has a +1, +2, +3, +4, +5, +6, and that means how many spaces along the track the train is going to move when you play a card. So we're at 30 kilometers per hour, which means the train is only going to go one little tick down the track. And that's important because the only way to stop the train is to work your way all the way through the effect deck. That will stop the train. So you're trying to get the train to go as slow as possible down this track before it crashes into Paris. Obviously, the saboteur wants to keep the train moving as fast as possible before this deck runs out. Now, there are some cards in the deck that cause a choice. So a player can choose to do a top action or the bottom action if they play that card. So keep that in mind, that there is that in the deck. And that's pretty much the main portion of the game. Now, there are some spaces on the board you do need to be aware of. You've got these spots right here and right here that are downhill. And if you are the speedster in the game, you are trying to get the train to go as fast as possible to break the rail speed record. And what that means is you want the train to be at 180 kilometers per hour on one of these spots right here. And if that were ever to happen, then this token will get flipped over. It'll start the game on rail speed record not achieved. It'll be flipped over and rail speed record is now achieved. So that's one of the areas on the board. Another area is if the train ever stops in one of these tunnels. So like this space right here, as well as that space right there. And then you've got another one right here before the end. If the train ever stops there, then you can grab one of these permit to travel tickets. Now there's 2 of them in the game, and if both of them are gone and they're in front of players, you can steal it from a player who has one. These permit to travel tickets will allow you to still win the game even if you don't don't accomplish your secondary mission. It's a good way to try and still win the game, even if you're not successful in doing what you need to do. Now, you always need to stop the train. That is something that still has to happen. But you could still win even if you don't accomplish your secondary mission. Now, that's not true for all the characters in the game, so you do want to be mindful of which character you are and read your card carefully, because even if you have this, you could still lose the game depending on who you are. Another spot on the board you need to know about is this little spot right here with the stop sign. Once the train gets right there, everyone is going to vote secretly using their cards here on which route they want the train to go forward from that point forward. You've got the viaduct, which is a longer route with this long bridge. We'll come to why bridges are important. You got the fast track, which is the fastest way to Paris, which probably the saboteur will want to go that way. And then you've got the scenic route, which goes this way, and as you guessed, is the longest route into Paris. So most people will want the train to go that way. Now, there are characters in the game who want the train to go one of these routes, which may not be conducive to stopping the saboteur. So you have to keep in mind that not everybody's going to want to go the scenic route. Anyhow, whatever route gets the most votes, that's the way the train is going to go. Now, when the train stops on a bridge, like it does right here, the player who has the current player token is going to call for an emergency meeting in which everyone is going to state their case as to who they think the saboteur is. After everybody does that, then a vote's going to be held for throwing off one person from the train. If there's a majority vote for one specific person, then that person gets thrown off the train. And if it's the saboteur, that hopefully increases your chances of stopping the train before you get to Paris, because the game is almost over at that point. And now keep in mind, there are some people in the game who might want to pose themselves to be the saboteur, such as the stuntman. You want to get yourself thrown off the train. So you got to keep in mind that the stuntman's going to look like a saboteur. And then there's other people who don't want the saboteur thrown off, such as the MI6 agent. They want to keep the saboteur alive for questioning. So there's layer upon layer of deduction that you've got to figure out in this game. On top of all of this, you have intervention cards. Now, intervention cards are going to be short little ways that players are going to be able to break the rules or cancel someone else's intervention cards. Open vote, you're going to make the vote public. Everyone's going to have to announce which one they voted for. Swing vote, it allows you to swing the vote if the vote is tied. So, interesting, fun little ways to bend the rules or break the rules even. Now, there is a variant that allows a train, a secondary train, to be on the track, and this train's going to start after so many rounds after the main train starts, and it's going to try to catch up with this train and crash into it. And if that ever happens, boom, they blow up, and that would allow the saboteur to win even if the train doesn't make it all the way to Paris. So lots going on in this game, lots to think about, and that's pretty much the gist of Stop the Train.
Okay, so here's Sam and I with two of our friends doing a playthrough of Stop the Train. Right now we're going to share our thoughts on this game. I'll go first, and just real quick, my honest feelings on this game are that I really do feel like this game has moments where it shines, and it really brings a lot of tension and a lot of intensity to the table. There's moments where you really feel like you are really trying to stop a bad guy from really doing something bad, or if you are the bad guy, you really feel like, oh, I hope I don't give myself away, or I'm gonna get away with this. And so it really does bring the emotions to the table at times. But then there are also times where it kind of feels like a ho-hum kind of experience. It just sort of seems to depend upon the way the cards work out. Sam, what would you say about this game? Your first thoughts?
Yeah, I would agree. I thought it was a really easy game to understand. It's a really quick playing game, which are both really good in my book. I do think it was a little samey. I feel like it's a kind of constant doing the same thing, drawing cards, handing them to the next player. I felt like it needed a little bit more oomph in it, besides in the middle where you're voting and choosing which route to take. That was exciting, but I just felt like it needed something else.
Yeah, I can see that. You know, each time you're trying to do something in the game, it's all about those cards. It's all about, well, do I keep this one and pass these, or do I play that one and risk this person knowing a little bit more information about me? And then there are those times when you just get the same cards, right? The same 2 cards are passed to you and there is no choice. Or you pick the 3 cards and they're all bad, or they're all good, and you can't really gain much information out of that by choosing to discard one, passing the rest. There are those moments where it kind of seems like, oh man, I have a wasted turn here. I can't learn anything, or I can't see how people react. So that does happen. And I think that kind of contributes to that samey or that ho-hum kind of feeling that we talked about a little bit. And so I do want you guys out there to be aware that that can be something that happens in this game. Does that kind of break it for you, Sam?
No, I don't think so. I think it depends on the company you're playing with as well. I personally, as a non-gamer, don't think that this would be the best game for a total group of gamers. I think that it's a little too simplistic for them. But I think if you have a mixed group, that it works really well. Possibly with just non-gamers, that it would work well too, just because it is an easy game to understand. But it also depends on who draws the card of saboteur. If they're a gamer, or if they can really get into the idea of being a spy, for lack of a better word, and being able to hide who they are, but play off the right cards.
Right. Yes. This game really kind of depends upon the craftiness, the slyness of the saboteur, and being able to blend in, but at the right moments also strike and really kind of throw a wrench in everyone's plans. I think that is important in this game. Now, another thing about that too are the character roles, because if you get the right mix of character roles that you just randomly deal out to everyone, that is going to ratchet up the difficulty level and make people guess all the more, which is where the fun is in this game, is the guessing. It's trying to figure out who anyone is. And if you don't get the right mix and you get some pretty, roles that are all similar, where people are trying to do the same things, then it seems to kind of work too easily, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And so I would say that there's a lot at chance in determining whether this is a exciting, thrilling experience, which this game definitely has the ability to do that. It has the ability to bring people to their feet, and loud voices and a lot of finger pointing can go into this game. Good finger pointing, not bad finger pointing. But then it also has the lower moments too, of just kind of, oh, well, I just, again, that ho-hum kind of thing. So I guess what I'm trying to say with this game is that the highs are very high, and then there can just be sort of mild moments too. I wouldn't call them lows. This game isn't a bad game by any means, but just kind of run-of-the-mill, maybe.
Yeah, I would agree with that as well.
So, Sam, the things you like about this game: it is quick. This game probably doesn't go much more than 30 minutes.
Yeah.
The rules are very straightforward. It's easy to understand. And this is one that you would say that probably works very well with non-gamers, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's a really good starter game to get on the table when you have non-gamers over.
And the things that maybe we're not too keen on, there's a lot of chance as to whether this is going to shake out in good ways, as far as the roles that are dealt out, the cards that come out when they come out, the choices you get, and the other people at the table you're playing with, and how crafty they can be as well. So yeah, I think that covers a good gamut of this. Let's go ahead and get into our ratings on this game. Scale of 1 to 10, love to hate. What do you give this game, Sam?
I'd probably give it a 6.5.
6.5? Okay.
Yeah.
I'm higher than that than you are. I kind of would like to bring this to the table a few times more and see how it plays with other people. I'm going to give this game a 7.2. It's one that I think is got excellent table presence. That's not something that we've said so far, and I do want to make sure to mention that this is very cool to look at on the table, even just watching us play through it again. It does bring that wow factor to it, and I really do like that. It also has a uniqueness to it, and so it's one that I would like to kind of break out with people who don't play a whole lot of games, or even those that do and have never played this, and kind of show it off and see what they think about it. So 7.2 from me. And as we already said, this is one that you would recommend playing with non-gamers?
Yeah, I think it's an excellent one for non-gamers.
Okay, there you go.
Well, make sure to like and subscribe and push that bell button so you get notifications of all our new content.
All right, I'm Lance.
I'm Sam.
And we are Love to Hate, where we try to bridge the gap between gamers and non-gamers. We'll catch you next time.